Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Line War. Today we've got a 1v1 between Rebecca and Dialup Salesman. Now, Dialup could have picked anywhere in the mountains down here, in the middle of the map-ish, around here, or down here with some cities and some trade routes, but I think he really wanted this area up in the north because they picked two territories over here and starts with, if I remember correctly, I did check it out just before we started, an airfield. Now, I think the logic of the airfield is he's going to get this energy well. There's an energy well here. And there's a lot of eco in this map, especially a trade route really close to itself. So it is a very good location. So let's turn off Fog of War and let's see what Rebecca's doing. We can see all commands as well now. So Rebecca's getting a defensive line set up, but still sending infantry through. It's getting arrow commands just to check how close Dialup Salesman is. I think she expected there to be for him to pick in this section because it's the middle of the map, which, to be fair, isn't a bad starting spot for him, really. I probably would have started there if I had his pick of the map. Rebecca definitely had a better starting position. Starting in the centre, they've gone for eco and barracks, which the barracks is also an eco move because you can capture territories really fast. So that's what Rebecca's doing. Dialup Salesman is going for bombers and strikers. So those are more ranged units, so they're expecting engagements down here somewhere, I would have thought. And they're checking down this side just to make sure Rebecca's not there, and obviously to expand. Because if this works out for Dialup Salesman, starting in an unexpected area, they're going to have a trade route. If they can control the south here, 3 trade routes. A whole city, the city over here, and then they're going to have to try and claim this one over here, but Rebecca's actually closer to that one, I think. So looking at how it is like this, Rebecca's got all of this potential area to gather themselves. They've realised the enemy isn't over here, but they're progressing cautiously. They've got the important site to try and build up their own city, and I think that's what she's rushed to do. Literally just get there. I didn't even spot that. This one industry curves around this whole section over here. But they're going for a barracks only build now. So they're just focused on barracks. So they've got 6. And the infantry are just moving as they come through the defensive point here. And I think some are going to try and grab this energy well over there. Dialup's got a lot of artillery over there right now. And their airfields are coming along nicely. But the problem with this is, although they're going for commandos, so they've got enough and they've got a transport jet, so I can see what they're planning to try and do. I don't actually know the range of that, but I'm pretty sure commandos can't reach this land here, so they're only going to be able to get to areas they probably could have before. Might have been worth trying to get, maybe even getting an airstrip over here or something to try and send the transport jet to, so that you can cover a bit more range and get into the base. There we go. So Rebecca's got a factory up and running. They're not just going for infantry solo at all. And I've just noticed Rebecca has 2 cities as well. There's a patch over here. What is on this section? There's not much going on there, but the territories are worth it. The territories are actually worth the most in the game, in my opinion. I mean, if you get a city and a trade route going, that's great for especially late game. But it's not as worth it to try and grab these structures, unless you can get a trade route early, I suppose. Like with a teammate, 1 on each end, that could work well. Because you don't have to invest much individually and you still become strong players, even if you get caught off guard a little. But it does require a bit of investment, and Rebecca's got a lot of infantry and a lot of production. This is quite a good move to try and swarm the enemy. They are probably progressing a bit too cautiously. So we've got defenses in the mountains, and in the forest, which is a great place for infantry to be defending, because I can't imagine either player can really see each other right now. They've just noticed Rebecca's actually here now, and Rebecca can only see through infantry. So yeah, they have noticed each other, which should tell Rebecca that she could progress down here as well. So all these units go that way because they know that Dialup must have started in the north somewhere over here. The commandos have been sent down to the south to capture these territories. And Rebecca's going to literally dig in this area to try and stop any units coming through. She wants to control this area before engaging further. And to be fair, if she can actually progress all these units down, and they're going around the sides, I would have literally just sent them across this way. Like, sort of a line here, and a line there. And send one small line going around this section of the map. Because you want to get to this point as fast as you can. And if you get there quick enough, get to this point. This is a very good choke point to hold. And it would really trap your opponent in there. Rebecca's now got a city and is building up some more factories. Whereas Dialup Salesman is getting some energy going because they've ran out. They can't use their air units just yet. But that's going to catch Rebecca a bit off guard, I think. When his air units can move, they are building SAM units as we speak. Pretty much only SAM units, which is actually really good. I was expecting mostly artillery. So the SAM units are going to push forward first before the artillery. It looks like they are having both being produced. And then place the SAM units just here to try and take out any air units that potentially come down. So I currently think that Dialup Salesman probably valued the land here a bit too much. If they had started here, they could have blocked Rebecca off in this section, forcing them into a bad, or not so bad, but not a good situation with land. But Rebecca is pushing with a lot of infantry, which is definitely one of my favourite things to do, especially on an area with a lot of land to move around in. And I think they've switched into factories pretty well for an infantry start. But I feel like they slowly progressed this area. They could have pushed forward when they found the enemy over here. But it's easier said when you're watching the replay rather than actually playing the game. And caution is telling you to slow down a bit. I've just noticed the bombers are not there anymore. So where are they? That is not a good place to put a pipe. Right on top of Striker. They're going to need to move around that. It's going to cost extra time. Not literally. Doesn't really happen in the game, but still. Where are those bomb... air units have been put here. We've got submarine here. I don't think a submarine is actually cheaper to get than, like, I don't know, a missile boat. But I feel like when you've got territories like this, where some people just probably won't build a navy yard in it, this one might be worth it. I would, if I was Rebecca, build a navy yard down here and build pretty much just destroyers to start with, just in case, and missile ships. And I'd be exploring up there to try and get these. But I'd probably build a navy yard here because you could support the sides of this lake. But a submarine is literally just defensive of the ocean. You can't really attack... Well, you can't actually attack land. Rebecca's got a swarm of infantry coming out of the forest over here, about to approach Dialup Salesman. They have set up their black line first, which, no, especially if it's artillery, infantry doesn't matter too much. But these infantry are going to act like this is a blue line when passing enemy. They're just going to walk straight past them. So these guys are actually going to get away. Even if these would normally aggro onto these guys. And I think Dialup's actually... No, he's changed his mind. He was going to engage, but he sees the amount of units. He's going away. He's like, nope. Not doing that. And as you can see, he just got right up close and none of them shot him. Which they normally would shoot if in range. They just missed that range point. But they are focused on this black line and it is allowing them to get away. So I set it up as an orange line first, come back to it and turn it into a black line. That's how I'd deal with those. And at this point, Dialup Salesman has realised his own situation here. Got some units allowed to get through, which is great. Which Rebecca might have missed. But he is building up his eco now. Going to get this trade route up next, I would have thought. And then probably the city here, and then it's probably going to go for the city down here. They're getting a nuke silo ready. So I think they are preparing for war. But what is Rebecca doing? They've got another city potentially here, but they haven't invested into it yet. And I think Rebecca's in a very good position right now to be able to do that. Let's have a look at the economy. I can imagine Rebecca's way ahead right now. So we've got 899. And Rebecca's on 1,334. And Rebecca's also trying to get some units up onto this section with a defensive line. Again, change this to orange so you actually capture the territory and get tanks on there then if you need them. And you can refuel helicopters. Then you set up your defensive line when you got the territory. Unless you don't want them to know you've got the territory. There you go. These units down here have been caught off guard. They unfortunately weren't able to get away. So these units will clear them up. I'll try and send them on a blue line just to go around in case Rebecca misses it or something. And try and capture a territory on this side at that point. But I probably would have got caught out by these units. So that wouldn't have been good either. But I think Dialup Salesman at least has a good plan right now. Which is mostly to eco up, get the trade route set up. Got a silo ready for a big bomb to try and push forward later. But Rebecca also has a plan, which is currently to defend until they have control, which I think is their main objective, is just to control. They haven't captured everything on their side yet. And once they have, they've got helicopters here to push forward. The helicopters are great because they don't usually stick around defensive lines. So if a nuke does come in, also they can attack first, because there's not a lot of salmon here actually. So this is actually quite a good move by Rebecca, but they are on a haste command. So they're going to be pushing through really fast, which will get rid of a lot of energy. But I think they wanted to get the attacks in before the SAM units pushed through. That or it was accidental, I don't know. But either way it works. Now Dialup Salesman has got his rocket silo and has the cash to build a rocket. But it doesn't look like it's doing it just yet. I think it might have turned off production. There we go. Up here we have Red's infantry moving in. And Dialup Salesman sending in some commandos to try and go behind them and catch some reinforcements. But 2 commandos is probably not going to be enough. Doesn't look like the player wants to bring the units back. Dialup Salesman wants to bring the units back. And Rebecca isn't ready to push through just yet. The helicopters are moving over to the defensive defensive lines over here. And we'll even try and target the transport boat. And it does go down. And there's a massive swarm of infantry in this section of the map. We've got infantry over here. I kind of want to view it in free camera. So this is Rebecca's army going for the defenses of Dialup. But that's just this section of the map. We do have the invasion force coming in via the boats over this section. As you can see, one's coming in to drop it off. So those units are going to get cut off from the actual main base as these units come in and try and take out any reinforcements. The aircraft have been called in. The submarines are sat there. They're not able to do anything in this situation. But Rebecca's army is going to be able to take out these air units. Because they do have quite a lot of SAM back in the map here. And because these are bombers, no unit can actually target them apart from specifically anti-air. Like infantry will shoot helicopters and so will artillery. But they can't shoot the bombers. But these aren't the only attacks going on right now. We need to have a look. These units are getting called back, but they really shouldn't be because I think Rebecca's got a really large army coming through this section of the map. Over here, we do have a navy yard now as well for blue. I can see a missile ship there. So that must be somewhere on the map. Look how many infantry she's got coming in through this section. The air units have been called into that section of the map. I'm just kind of having fun with a free camera now. And Rebecca's forces are coming through, but blue does have a good amount of infantry coming in this section. And we got some more bombers coming through. It looks like they're trying to build up their production structures, but it's just not going that well. I don't think blue really has much of a chance in this at this point. Sometimes picking the best location can be great, especially as it was unexpected. I always like a good surprise, but I feel like this one hindered them too much. If you're going for a surprise attack, like a surprise picking phase, it's best not to try and eco straight after. If you're going for a surprise picking phase attack, it would be in a proper right behind the enemy style attack, and then rush them through a forest or something south. Strangely works really well doing it that way. But I haven't seen it often where they try and pick the specific location, even if it's not that good for territory. Let me know what you think, though. Where would you have chosen if you were Dialup Salesman? He didn't have that many options at the beginning of the map. But thank you for watching. There are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to click on one, and I'll see you there.